Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing a manhwa video. Now this is kind of different. It's not really, it's the same as a manga review, but the topic that we're talking about is slightly different, and I am still going to put all of this under the manga review section, so you guys can watch all of this in the manga review playlist for 2021. So yeah, now today we are talking about God of High School, and the author for God of High School is Young-ji Park. Korean names are still kind of difficult for me to talk about, or for me to say, because I'm still not sure how to pronounce them. So hopefully I'll get better at that over the time that I'm doing these, right? And this is published digitally on WEBTOON. Hopefully we do get some physical copies now that Yen Press is moving into Manhwa, but I'm not really sure if we will anytime soon. I know that there is physical copies of God of High School. There's only 2 of them. There's only 2 volumes, but I think they're only available in Korean. So there you go. Now, demographic-wise, this is kind of tough to place because there is no demographic label attached to it, especially not on WEBTOON. WEBTOON doesn't really do that. Like, I think there is an age label, but it's not very good. So I would say that this is definitely in the shonen category, but slightly on the older side of shonen, hitting that seinen mark. But I really do not want to use labels like soft seinen and hard shonen, because those are dumb. But yeah, so this would also kind of fall in the YA section. So there you go. I'm going to use both labels whenever there is no specific demographic, so that everyone that's watching this can kind of tell what I mean, right? Now, the genres here are comedy, martial arts, and supernatural. Now, I don't know where the supernatural aspect comes in just yet, but I know that there's a lot of stuff that happens later that is going to be relevant, right? Oh, for context, I am only reviewing the first 42 episodes, which are chapter 1 of the first arc of the story. Like, the way it's set up is kind of different, because there's like the whole story, and then there's chapters, and then each chapter is broken up into episodes. And so each episode is essentially the same as a manga chapter, and each chapter is essentially a manga arc that correlates to a larger arc that is within the whole story. So I guess it would be kind of like One Piece, how like One Piece is divided into small sagas or small like sections. And each section has like arcs within it, right? So there you go. That's kind of how it works. Now, adaptations wise, this does have an anime, and I think it also has a short webtoon animation. I don't know what that means, but that's what I saw, so there you go. Now, the anime is actually by Crunchyroll, and I looked at it. It looks pretty cool. Like they managed to capture the very interesting color choices and stylistic choices that the artist made, but they didn't really capture the very cool and very dynamic way that they do the fights. There's a specific example that I'll talk about later, but it's kind of different. But I haven't actually watched it. I've only seen clips of it on YouTube. So there you go. Now, the premise here is that martial artists from around the world, and specifically we're looking at Korea, are summoned to compete on this tournament, right? Kind of like the Tournament of Power, or kind of like the Galactic Tournament in Saint Seiya. And we follow 3 particular contestants as they go through battling it out, right? We follow Mori Jin, who is kind of like the Goku character. Then we follow Dawei Han, which is more like, he's not really like Vegeta, but he's also not like Krillin. He's kind of like somewhere in between them. And then we follow Mira Yu, which is the main female character, but she's also more in line with something like a very fight-oriented female character, as opposed to like the emotional support type. As they battle to the top of this tournament, and it's actually pretty cool. What I read, the first 42 episodes basically focus on the initial tournament before it gets into the deeper kind of like stuff that has to happen. And it's very, very cool. I'm very interested to see what happens. The big climax of the story is this big fight between two of the characters that I just mentioned. So let's jump into the proper review now. The plotline here is very good. It's structured around this whole tournament, right? And so everything happens alongside these battles that we're having between all of the different characters that are introduced, right? And so anytime a character has a flashback, it's within the same kind of moments that we're having the fights, or right before or right after. And it's actually very interesting because it allows you to read like alternatingly, or alternating across two different types of like storytelling. One of them is very action oriented and it's all about the fights and it's very like dynamic, and the other one is all emotion based and it's all about why the characters are the way they are and how they are developing their fighting styles according to the way that they live their lives. And it's actually very, very well done. I really do find it to be rather amazing. Like, it's just very nicely done. I really did like it a lot. And yeah, it basically takes side tangents to develop all of these characters in the world and kind of how everything works. And the most enjoyable parts for me were when we were talking about Mori-jin's grandpa, because it's just ridiculous. And all of the kind of background that was introduced about the people that are organizing the tournament is pretty cool as well. Like, you know, just a lot of really cool stuff. This whole arc, or this whole section, this whole chapter, really reminded me of the Saint Seiya Galactic Tournament arc. Now, if you're American, or if you're Latin American and you're rather young, you're not going to know what I mean. But basically, it's this old school manga, I think from the 80s, around the same time as Dragon Ball and JoJo's and Fist of the North Star, that had this giant tournament arc right at the beginning of the book, right? Or of the story. And it focused on like 10 different characters. And throughout the whole time that they were fighting, we got to see their backstories and how they learned about their fighting styles and stuff through flashbacks that happened mid-battle or between battles. And so it's very, very similar to that. I don't remember anything exactly like this in Dragon Ball, because mostly I don't really think Dragon Ball cares that much about the background of the characters, because it's really not that deep in that in Dragon Ball. But it's very, very similar to Saint Seiya. So that's pretty cool. I really did enjoy it. I think it just was really, really interesting. And the chapters were easy to read. The dialogue was easy to read. Sometimes it was a little clunky and it was a little bit weird because there was a lot of like stop and start. But it was because there was like elements of fourth wall breaking and comedy put into things that were kind of high paced and action based. And it just didn't like exactly connect properly, but overall it was really enjoyable. I did really like the plot line. The characters here are very, very cool. There's a lot of fun stuff with them. Mori-jin is the classic shonen protagonist. You know, he's always hungry, he's always kind of dumb, and he has this very like straightforward but very like idealistic type of mindset towards things and people. And he's also kind of like a doofus and kind of like not very intelligent, except when it comes to fighting. So he's your Gokus, your Astas, your Narutos, your what's it called? What's the other one? Luffy, like that type of character. And it looks and works very, very nicely. He mostly reminds me of Goku, like that quintessential dumb fighter guy. And I really, really enjoy him because he's so funny. But he has those moments of like deep connection with the other characters that I really, really enjoy. But yeah, he's super, super fun. Now, Han here is kind of like the emo rival character, you know, the Sasuke, the Yuno, the Zoro, the Vegetas, but not exactly, because he's not really like emo for the sake of like, oh my god, I'm sad. He's emo. Well, he's not really emo. Like, that's the point. Like, he definitely has reasons to be sad and like pretty, you know, deep reasons, but he's not really like sad. He's just kind of like pretty bored with people, and he doesn't really enjoy communicating that much, but he actually still cares about the people that he's friends with, and he enjoys and has like, you know, he has joy out of being friends with people. So it's kind of interesting. I really do enjoy him as well. I really like his style. He's very fun. Oh, and they all have different fighting capabilities. Mori Jin is a Taekwondo person, so he uses light jabs and very strong leg techniques, as far as I understand it. Where Dewey Han uses a lot of fist, a lot of punching and stuff like that, because I think that's how karate works. And he does a lot of like stances and stuff like that. So very interesting. I really did enjoy that. Now the other character is Mira, who is the warrior woman, the swordswoman, the quintessential Urza Scarlet type of character. And I really enjoy her as well because she also has a pretty sad backstory, and the way she works as an individual is very interesting. I really enjoy how she interacts with the other two characters, and in general how she interacts with a lot of people, because she has a lot of comedic moments that are really like weird, like offbeat, and I really do find it refreshing because it's a different type of comedy. It's not all based around like lewd stuff like it would be in something like Fairy Tail or other shonen type of stories. It's more based around like she's like this really pretty girl, but then when she fights, she turns into like this ugly man, or she's like she's just like crazy and scary, and I think it's funny, but it's also very cool because it's like she's badass, right? And I really enjoy them. In fact, I think that their relationship is not really like the Shonen Jump type of protagonist. It's more like something a little bit different. Like it would be like the relationship between Natsu, Gray, and Urza more than it is, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, or Asta, Yuno, and Noelle, or, whatever other main character trio that you can think of. This is more in line of like, they turn into a little family group, and they all are very strong and powerful as individuals, but together they can be even better than that. And I really do enjoy that. It's just so cool, so fun. Really awesome stuff. Like there's lots of comedy in this, and all the side characters are all pretty badass as well. Like Mori Jin's grandpa, the old guy, the guy that is in charge of the tournament, the Tai Chi fighter, the guy with the baseball bat, he's really cool as well. The wrestling girl is also really interesting. I really enjoy, like, there's so many different characters here that are just so cool and so well designed, and I really do enjoy them. Now, let's talk about the world building here. It's very solid. It's well done. I really do enjoy how it's woven into the fights without actually feeling intrusive, because that's a thing that happens in Naruto a lot, right? Like, Naruto has these big, giant flashback sequences that like last longer than the actual fights when they're fighting with characters that are like evil and stuff, right? And it's all to kind of like set them up and be like, okay, now I can talk to them, and now Naruto can, fix them without having to battle them, right? This doesn't really happen here. It's like the battle correlates to the story of the character that is being told to you in that flashback, but it doesn't feel like you're stopping the fight in order to get the flashback. It feels like it's happening simultaneously in a very well done kind of like way. And I really did enjoy just how the exposition worked. It was very well done. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't answered, obviously, because the story has like way more things to go, like to happen before we get to know these things. But the basic setup was really well done. And I really did enjoy the commentary and the side tangents, and how everything remains interesting, and the fights still have very front and center, objects, or they're objects that are very front and center. And I actually like how all of the art, all of the fighting styles and the martial arts that they use correlate to the different types of characters and the type of backstory that they have. So it's really cool. Like everything is just woven really, really nicely. Now, the art here is awesome. It's so cool. It's very pretty, and it's very colorful, and I really like it. The best way I can describe it is somewhere between a comic book and a manga. It has those more large, heroic type proportions of a Western comic, but the facial features are still pretty anime based, and the way the characters are designed are still pretty anime based, or anime manga based. But it's still different enough from both of those that it really stands out as its own style, as its own thing, that I really like. It's really cool. There's also an emphasis on like everyone having very interesting clothing and very different choices. And I like that a lot. It's just very cool. Like like it's not in a situation where everyone's just wearing the same outfit or everyone's wearing the same kind of like school clothes or anything like that. Like everyone has a very specific and clear cut character design that has very specific clothes that feature things that allow you to know, yeah, this character is this type of person, right? So I really like it. It's really cool. Now, there are a few problems with the art style, and I think it's actually not the art style itself or like the way the art portrays information. I think it's more of the way that I perceive it and the way that I just don't know the necessary information to really understand some of the stuff that happens. But overall, great use of color. The proportions are very interesting because they're a lot taller without losing their like width, and so it doesn't look really stretchy like something you'd see in Fairy Tail or Eiichiro Oda's art. But it's not like really lanky either. It is very interesting. I like it a lot. But the issues here are mostly because sometimes the martial arts that are used and the way that the moves are explained is difficult to understand. Like when Mori does a triple kick, whatever variation of the triple kick that he does, I don't understand how he's moving because we don't really see each motion. Like we don't see each kick, right? We see Mori in a pose and then 3 different Moris in 3 different colors that are doing different poses that is supposed to show you like how he's moving. But the problem is that each pose feels like it'd be impossible to get from one to the next. And I think that's because I don't understand how the, how the martial arts are supposed to work. And that kind of sucks because I shouldn't have to do that in order to enjoy a general, fighting manga, right? So it kind of, it sucks a little bit, but I think it's an issue with me, not necessarily with the writing or the art direction or anything like that. But like, it's interesting and I really like it. Like I really enjoy how the moves are depicted. It looks really awesome. I just don't understand a lot of them a lot of the times because I don't actually know the mechanics behind, kicking up and then sideways and then downwards in a way that makes sense, visually, right? So I think it's mostly the problem with me not understanding how the motion is happening than it is the mangaka or the manhwaka, the artist not portraying it properly. So there you go. I'll leave it at that. You guys can take that as you will. I don't really know how to explain myself properly in that sense, but hopefully, I made sense. Now, if we're talking fan service, I think that there's a little bit here, but it's not very much. Like I think there was a panty shot, and then there's like female characters that are very, very pretty and very attractive, and then they have like low cut shirts and stuff like that. And like the way that the artist draws like skin is really interesting because a lot of rounded edges and skin, like their noses and stuff, have this weird kind of like red patch that kind of looks like blush, and then like a little bit of white to signify that stuff is like shiny. And he does that on chest areas very often. Like there's just like very bright like blushy titties all the time, and I think it's kind of weird, but it's funny, and I don't think it's supposed to be funny, and it is rather attractive looking, but it's just kind of weird, right? But if you're someone that's very sensitive to that type of stuff, and you would consider that fan service, I don't think you should consider it fan service, but if you do and you find that to be kind of like unappealing or in some way, something you don't like, you might want to stay away from this because it's not very often that it happens, but it happens enough that I noticed that, there was blushing titties all the time. So there you go. But yeah, all the female characters are very cute. All the male characters are really handsome and very cool. So, it's not just like one side is fan service up and the other one isn't. It's just like, everyone looks attractive and there's like blushy titties all over the place. So there you go. Now, I definitely rate this pretty high. I think a 4 out of 5 is pretty good. I mean, I rate a lot of things 4 out of 5, but like, it's just because I enjoy so many things so well, and I really don't want to like label them worse because it's just like really fun, right? So I think it's a super solid story. The plot line is good. The characters are good, the world building is good, the exposition, the way everything is told to you is very good. The art style is really, really beautiful. I really do enjoy how it looks. So I really can't say that it's bad. It's just like there's a few things here and there that I really didn't love that much. Like the way the fight scenes were depicted sometimes, where I couldn't understand what was happening. That was pretty bad. And just like the pace at which things moved was maybe, in my opinion, a little bit too fast. And if you're not someone that really enjoys fighting, like fighting scenes, this might not be exactly something you want to check out. But like a 4 out of 5 is really good. I really am hoping that this gets even better throughout the next couple chapters, because it's just a really solid foundation. I'm really excited to get into it. But yeah, it's unique and super enjoyable. So there you go. Now, I definitely recommend this title. I think everyone should read it. It's really cool. I don't know how it compares to the anime, but I do want to say that the anime does not do as good of a job at showing off the fighting, like the moves and the techniques that each individual character does, like Mori's triple kickflip, in a way that looks really satisfying, because they just do like this thing where like it just shows air like being moved, but then Mori isn't really moving, so it's like, what is he doing, right? So yeah. Now, I don't know that there's any titles that are very, very similar to this. Like I mentioned a few, right? Dragon Ball and Saint Seiya's first arc and stuff like that. But like, it's not the same. And it's not even that similar. But it's like the closest thing possible. And of course, this actually took a lot of inspiration from Dragon Ball. Like it's been told by the author that this is inspired by Dragon Ball. So there you go. Check out Dragon Ball if you like this. And if you like Dragon Ball, check this out instead, right? So yeah, but that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what other manhwa there are out there to check out. I'm interested in checking out more of them. I know Solo Leveling is one, and I am going to check it out at some point since the manhwa is available in English. But yeah, let me know some other things down in the comments, so I can check them out later and do some reviews for them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I really do appreciate it. See you guys later.